the production of a hockey game these days is incredible. It's hard to actually lose, to get lost in it, even as a casual fan. It's hard to not know where the puck is. Like, years ago, before the advent of 4K or HD TV, yeah, you couldn't find the puck. Sometimes you had no idea where the puck was, right?
Which, of course, for
Now,
people who are not of a certain era, it came to a time when NBC TV put a
no,
glowing.
Fox put the glow. Fox had
Wait a
the
minute.
glow
I
puck.
thought it was. Wait a minute. Didn't NBC do it first when Peter Puck was around? Didn't they glow it first?
Maybe they did. But I thought Fox
Okay.
put the glow, and then they had the red line if you got the puck, if you got the slap shot over
Right.
100 miles an hour.
That
Yes.
was definitely Fox. The glowing
Okay.
puck and then the red line that showed the actual
Velocity
path of the
Yeah.
puck,
The shot.
which was in any sense, whether it was NBC or Fox, it was freaking horrible.
It was awful.
It was terrible.
But today's game is the production value of a hockey game is so increased and out of this world. You should be able to sit back and enjoy it. The question is, do you understand the game? And maybe that goes back to your point about the knowledge of the game of hockey. Do you actually understand what's happening? Are you listening to Jimmy or are you hearing Jimmy? According to Woody Harrelson in White Men Can't Jump. Are you listening to Jimi Hendrix or are you only hearing Jimi Hendrix? Do you really hear Jimi Hendrix? Are you watching or are you actually seeing what's happening in the game of hockey?
Well, that's why I think hockey fans are, and I'll catch a lot of heat for this, and I really don't care. I think they are a more intelligent fan because you've got to pay attention to see what's going on. You have got to watch the speed of the game, and you have got to then take into effect what happens around the game when in baseball, football, and basketball, it is a stop-motion game that is easier to grasp and handle and even understand because there's a lot less going on the field of play than what goes on in hockey.
That's fair. And like I said, and for a basketball fan, some basketball kids, I can go out in my driveway and shoot threes. If I were better and taller, I could go out and throw an alley-oop to someone. If I knew a friend who could dunk. I could go out, and back in my day, I could dribble between my legs. I could ball handle. That's more relatable to most kids and to most people. Not many are putting on skates.
Well, I think also that the National Hockey League at one point and the networks decided, and this comes down to the NBC time and the Fox time as well, let's teach the game to people. This is what we're going to do in order to make sure that they understand the game better.
Yeah.
With the advent now, when you mentioned it, of HD and 4K and the way it's nearly impossible to miss the puck at this time. You can watch it as long as you have that ability to watch it in a certain sense. But if they spent more time focusing on, let's say, an ISO camera on Charlie McAvoy, on Tkachuk, on Ovechkin, on some of these other players, on Marchand even, whatever the favorite team is, or Connor Bedard, whatever, spend some time focusing on them and watching what they do away from the puck, to the puck, and getting it. I think you're going to have a better grasp of the game because then you become more inquisitive to say, well, they scored, but they actually scored because of 3 plays earlier with what happened, and that made the play happen. It's a tough thing to do with limited cameras at a National Hockey League game, but it's something I think they need to look into.
Here's the interesting part. You're now going to lose the pure hockey fan, and I know this because when I was at ESPN, one thing ESPN does is they will, I believe, especially on power play, ESPN will put on the screen, they'll identify the players who are on the ice. They'll put they'll identify them. And I've had on Facebook, certain people comment to me, tell the people at ESPN we don't need that. We know who these people are. And it's like, well, wait a minute. This means the game's not for you. You're going to watch anyway. You're a hockey fan. This game is for the person who isn't familiar with the game.
Yeah.
And you lose, the actual diehard hockey fan gets pissed that their beloved game's being taught to someone else.
Well, see, and that's an arrogance too. I think what you have to
total arrogance.
It is that hockey fan saying, "I don't need this." Well, we understand that, but it's not going to hurt your understanding of the game any. It's not going to hurt your enjoyment of the game any because the game is still in front of you. But if the National Hockey League wants to continue to grow and find the ratings, which they need, which comes down to sponsor and money and everything else that they need, they have to bring in the next generation of fans and get them excited about the game. And to me, that's the way you do it. You do have to kind of have an educational element in there because
Yeah.
hockey is the most difficult of the 4 major team sports. The 5 major team sports, put soccer in there as well.
Mm-hmm.
It is the most difficult to follow and understand,
Right.
without question, because of the way the penalties are called, because of the way the offside is, because of the minute moments of what happens in those plays, specifically on offsides and goals as well, which the National Hockey League did a great job of now having the cameras on the line to be able to point out the offside, which is the difficult point to get, and look down. The overhead camera on goals is one of the best things that ever happened to
Masterful.
them,
Masterful. Yep.
because it now gives you that look at it, and the different ways to look at what happens around the goal has really changed the game. But the arrogant
Yeah.
fan is going to have their arrogance, but they'll still stick around. You got to bring somebody else in. The
Agreed.
arrogant, dedicated fan won't go away because you're simply isolating on Ovechkin for a game.
No, they're just
They'll
gonna
be
be
fine.
pissed. They're just gonna be pissed off, and they're gonna bark and all this other
I'll be
stuff.
pissed off and be barked off. Now that's where you can say, "Get off my lawn." Okay, you can make a lawn thing there. I'll add this too before we move on, that I've called every sport on television and radio at one time in my
Yeah.
career.
You call
And
hockey on radio?
I will hockey on radio. Did it very briefly.
Woo!
I can tell you that as far as an announcer is concerned, the play-by-play, the best play-by-play people in any sport today, any sport period, are the guys and the gals who call hockey. It is the toughest thing to do. I remember the first time when I was in Boston and they said, "We're doing a hockey game." It was a college hockey game at the time.
Sure.
And you're our number one guy, so you're going to call it. Have you ever called hockey before? Oh, yeah, I've done that before. Never touched a televised hockey game before in my life, and I crammed like crazy. And I was still way behind. I mean,
Sure.
I wasn't even close to being real good. I had to let a whole lot of things go, and that's when I got a real appreciation for hockey. They're just the best.
By the way, Sean McDonough was born to call hockey. McDonough was born to call hockey on ABC.
And so was Sam Rosen.
So is Sam Rosen, yes. And Sam's retired.
Sam Rosen was born to
Yep.
call the game. I mean, he just, and thankfully I have had a chance over the years to befriend and discuss and have Sam as guests on my various shows. Brilliant individual, fun guy.
Sure.
And we
Yep.
haven't even touched on the fact that hockey players are the nicest people in the world.
I said that off the top.
To get along with. You did.
That was one of the first things my dad taught me when I was growing up. Hockey players are the nicest because they make the least. And by the way, that is still now.
Well, they're
half
family
of that
too.
They're 100% family. There's a large part of them are family oriented. But the latter part of that statement, they make the least, it is still 100% true. Out of all the major sports, they make the least amount of money.
And we'll go off on this on another day about the family aspect of hockey players, because that's always the thing. These guys and these gals are all family. Their families take them to the rinks at 4:00 in the morning. They go to all the practices. They hang with them. They have their brothers and sisters and aunts and uncles and grandparents, and everybody shows up at the rink. You don't get that in any other sport at that level. It happens occasionally. Right. But you don't get it at that level at any time, that family bond that puts them